When two hearts are torn apart by time and distance, the moment they finally meet again can change everything. It's not just about love returning. It's about old wounds reopening, family bonds being tested, and the question of whether forgiveness is truly possible. In Heartland Season 19, Episode 1, the reunion between Ty and Amy is more than just two people finding each other again. It's a storm of emotions that will ripple through everyone they love. The story begins by reminding us where we left off. Amy has been carrying the weight of Heartland on her shoulders, balancing her duties at the ranch with raising Lyndy and trying to keep the family strong. The absence of Ty has left a silence that no one dares to speak about, but everyone feels. For Amy, every chore in the barn, every quiet ride across the fields carries the memory of the man she once trusted with her heart. She has learned to be strong, but strength does not erase the longing or the ache of missing someone who should have been there by her side. Season 18 closed with unanswered questions. Ty had left, not out of lack of love, but because of struggles that he felt he couldn't face while staying at the ranch. His journey away was filled with regrets, and even though his reasons might have made sense to him, they left deep scars for Amy and their daughter. The Fleming family stood by Amy, supporting her, but even their presence could not fill the empty chair at the table or the empty space in her heart. Lou, as always, tried to be the voice of reason, pushing Amy to move forward, while Jack, with his quiet wisdom, reminded her that sometimes love needs time to heal. Now, in Season 19, Episode 1, that silence is about to break. The ranch, which has always been a place of healing for both people and animals, becomes the stage for one of the most emotional reunions in Heartland's history. As Ty makes his way back home, the atmosphere shifts. There is excitement, but also fear, because a reunion does not only bring joy, it also brings back the pain of what was lost. The family senses this change in the air before Amy even knows it. Heartland has always been more than a ranch. It's a place where every hoofbeat, every gust of wind carries the weight of unspoken stories, and this time it whispers of Ty's return. Amy's days leading up to this moment show us just how much she has grown. She is no longer just the young woman we met years ago. She is a mother, a leader, and a survivor of heartbreak. Yet, even the strongest person has moments of vulnerability. And for Amy, that vulnerability lies in her memories with Ty. Each corner of the ranch holds a piece of their story, good and bad. When she looks at Lyndy, she sees the bond that will always connect her to Ty, no matter how far apart they've been. As the sun sets on Heartland's familiar fields, the stage is set. The past cannot be erased, but the future is waiting to be written. And with Ty's footsteps drawing closer, every character feels the weight of what's to come. This is not just another chapter, it's the beginning of a test for love, family, and forgiveness. The moment finally arrives in a way that feels both ordinary and unforgettable. It isn't planned, and it isn't dressed up in dramatic lights or speeches. It comes quietly, like so many of life's most important turning points. The ranch is alive with its usual rhythm, horses moving gently in their paddocks, the wind carrying the smell of hay and earth, the sound of the barn door creaking as Amy steps outside after finishing her chores. She wipes her hands on her jeans, not knowing that with the next few breaths, her life will shift. For months she had convinced herself that Ty was gone from her story, that she had to look forward for Lyndy's sake. But the universe has a way of sending back the pieces of our hearts when we least expect it. Ty appears on the edge of the driveway, walking slowly, almost hesitantly, as if the ground itself is testing him before he can enter this sacred space again. His figure is familiar but changed. The long days away from Heartland have left their marks. His shoulders carry the weight of choices he cannot undo. His eyes reflect both longing and shame, and his steps reveal both strength and doubt. For a moment, Amy doesn't move. She simply stares, the breath caught in her chest, the world around her turning silent. Every sound fades, every thought freezes, until all that exists is the man standing before her, the man she once built her life with. When their eyes finally meet, the air between them is electric. It is not the joy of a fairy tale reunion, nor the anger of betrayal. It is something far more complicated. Amy feels the storm of emotions flood her all at once. Relief that he is here, fear of what his return means, and the ache of remembering every lonely night she spent without him. Ty sees the conflict on her face, and it cuts deeper than any wound he has carried. He wants to run to her, to hold her, to tell her he never stopped loving her. But he knows that words and embraces alone cannot erase the distance he created. The silence stretches on, yet it speaks louder than words. Finally, Amy's lips part, but instead of the simple hello she thought she would say, what comes out is something softer, almost trembling. You came back. The words are not a question, but a statement of disbelief mixed with fragile hope. Ty nods, his voice rough as he answers, I had to. 2 small sentences. But between them lies a world of history, regret, and the possibility of forgiveness. Lyndy, who had been playing near the fence, notices her father and runs toward him with the pure innocence only a child can carry. Her laughter breaks the heavy silence like sunlight breaking through clouds. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't question. She simply throws herself into his arms. The sight of Ty holding their daughter again brings tears to Amy's eyes, tears she had promised herself she wouldn't shed. For Ty, the feeling of Lyndy's small arms around his neck is both healing and heartbreaking. He knows that while his daughter welcomes him without conditions, the woman standing before him will need time, trust, and proof that his return is more than just a fleeting choice. The reunion is not perfect, and that is what makes it powerful. Amy doesn't rush into his arms. Instead, she stands firm, her emotions written clearly across her face. She has built walls to survive his absence, and she cannot tear them down in a single moment. Ty understands this, and though it hurts, he accepts it. He knows that love worth keeping is love worth earning back. As the evening light spills across the fields, Amy finally takes a step closer, not a leap, just one small step. It is enough to tell Ty that the door isn't closed, but it is also enough to remind him that the path back into her heart will not be easy. Their reunion is not the end of pain, but the beginning of healing, and every member of the Heartland family will feel the weight of this choice. The horses in the distance run free across the open pasture, as if mirroring the emotions in the air, wild and tamed, and impossible to control. The moment ends not with a dramatic embrace, but with quiet acceptance. Amy turns back toward the house, her voice steady but calm as she says, we should go inside. Ty follows, carrying Lyndy in his arms, while his heart carries the hope that this homecoming will be the first step in rebuilding what was lost. The reunion has happened, but what it means will only unfold in the days to come. The news of Ty's return does not stay quiet for long. In a home like Heartland, every change is felt by everyone, and this reunion is no exception. When Ty steps into the house, the air shifts. The familiar scent of wood smoke and old leather fills the room, but beneath it lingers the sharp tension of emotions held back for too long. The table that once seemed whole is suddenly heavier, as if carrying the weight of a dozen unspoken conversations. Each family member reacts in their own way, and together, their responses weave a picture of what it truly means to be a family, messy, conflicted, but bound by love. Jack is the first to break the silence. He sits in his chair, leaning on his cane, his eyes narrowed as he studies Ty. For Jack, life has always been about loyalty, about showing up when it matters. Ty's absence cut deeper than words could say. Not just because he left Amy, but because he left the ranch, this place Jack has poured his life into. And yet, Jack's heart is not one that turns cold easily. After a long moment, he gives a small nod, almost like a challenge and a blessing rolled into one. You're here now, he says gruffly. The words are simple, but from Jack they mean everything. It's an invitation, but also a reminder. Being back is not enough. Staying and proving himself again is what matters. Lou, on the other hand, cannot stay quiet. Her emotions spill out like water breaking through a dam. She rushes into the room, her arms folded tightly across her chest, her eyes flashing with the mixture of relief and anger only a sister can carry. Lou has always been protective of Amy, and watching her go through months of loneliness built a fire inside her. Do you know what she went through? Lou demands, her voice trembling. Do you know what we all went through? The sharpness of her words makes Ty flinch, but he doesn't fight back. He simply lowers his gaze, knowing she has every right to be angry. Lou's love for Amy is fierce, and while part of her wants to be glad for this reunion, another part of her fears that letting Ty back into their lives will only bring more heartbreak. At that moment, Lyndy, still clutching her father's hand, speaks with a child's honesty. "Mommy, Daddy's home now," she says softly, her eyes wide with innocence. Her words pierce through the tension like a gentle bell. For her, there is no past, no betrayal, only the joy of having her father beside her again. Her presence reminds everyone in the room what's at stake, not just the relationship between Ty and Amy, but the kind of family Lyndy will grow up knowing. Jack's expression softens at her words. Lou's anger dims just slightly, and even Amy feels her heart twist. Children have a way of seeing the truth without complication, and in that moment, Lyndy becomes the bridge none of them knew they needed. Amy herself remains quiet, her eyes moving from one family member to another. She feels the tension like a storm pressing against her chest. Jack's guarded support, Lou's anger, Lyndy's innocence, it all swirls inside her, demanding a response. But Amy knows she cannot give answers yet. She simply places a hand on her daughter's shoulder, grounding herself in the only truth she is sure of. She loves Lyndy, and everything she does must be for her. For now, that means allowing Ty to stand in the doorway, neither fully welcomed nor pushed away. Dinner that evening is unlike any other. The clinking of forks against plates is louder than the conversations. Jack tries to break the silence with a few questions about Ty's travels, but the answers are short, weighed down by everything unspoken. Lou's sighs cut through the air, her disapproval sharp even when she says nothing. Amy focuses on her plate, pushing food around without really eating. Lyndy chatters about small things, a pony she brushed, a story she heard at school, trying to pull her family together in the only way she knows how. It is her light-hearted voice that saves the evening from collapsing completely. Later, when the table is cleared and the night settles over the ranch, each family member is left alone with their thoughts. Jack sits on the porch, staring at the stars, wondering if forgiveness is possible. Lou paces in her room, torn between hope and fear for her sister. Amy tucks Lyndy into bed, her daughter's small voice whispering, "Daddy will stay, right?" And Ty stands by the window, watching the land that has always felt like home. Knowing that belonging here again will not be easy, the family's reactions are not just about Ty and Amy, they are about what Heartland itself stands for: resilience, loyalty, and the long road toward healing. The reunion has shaken the ground beneath them, but sometimes it is only when the earth cracks that new roots can take hold. Heartland has always been more than a place. It is not just a ranch where horses are trained and families live. It is a mirror that reflects the struggles, the triumphs, and the healing of the people who walk its fields. In Season 19, Episode 1, the reunion of Ty and Amy is powerful not only because of what is said, but because of what the land, the animals, and the silences around them reveal. Every glance, every gesture, and every detail in this episode carries a layer of meaning that stretches beyond the surface. The most obvious theme is forgiveness, but here forgiveness is not simple. It is not about forgetting what happened or erasing pain. It is about choosing to carry that pain in a new way. When Amy looks at Ty, she sees not only the man she loved, but also the man who left. Her struggle is a reminder that forgiveness is not a moment, but a process, something that grows like a seed planted in rocky soil. The land of Heartland itself mirrors this truth. Fields that once froze in winter bloom again in spring, not because the cold never happened, but because life insists on pushing through. Amy's heart, like those fields, has been through its winter. The question is whether spring will come again with Ty's return. Trust is another theme woven into this reunion. Horses in Heartland have always stood as symbols of trust. A horse cannot be tamed through force, only through patience, respect, and consistency. The bond between horse and rider is fragile but strong when nurtured. Amy's gift has always been to understand this unspoken language, to calm even the most broken animal. Now, that same truth applies to her relationship with Ty. Trust, once broken, is not repaired in an instant. It must be earned with steady steps, just like a skittish horse learning that the hand reaching out will not hurt it. Ty knows this. His return is only the first step. The real test will be whether he can prove, day after day, that he deserves Amy's trust again. The theme of family runs strong in this episode, too. Heartland has always shown that family is not perfect, but it is uncheckable. Jack's quiet support, Lou's fierce protection, Lyndy's innocent love-each reaction represents a different aspect of family. Together they show that family is not about agreeing on everything, but about standing in the same circle even when it hurts. The dinner table scene becomes a symbol of this. The food is shared, the space is occupied, but the silence and tension speak louder than words. It is a reminder that family does not always feel comfortable, yet it remains the foundation upon which healing can be built. Even nature plays its role as a storyteller. The open pastures, the restless horses, the shifting skies, all of them mirror the emotions unfolding between Ty and Amy. When Ty steps back onto the ranch, the wine picks up, carrying with it the sense of change. When Amy hesitates to embrace him, the horses in the distance run wild, as if echoing the storm within her. And when Lyndy laughs and breaks the silence, the clouds part, letting sunlight filter across the fields. These details are not just background scenery. They are symbols of the inner world of the characters, reminding us that in Heartland, the land itself feels the weight of human emotion. Another theme quietly present is resilience. Amy has shown resilience in the months without Ty, carrying the ranch and her daughter through difficult times. Ty shows resilience by returning, facing the consequences of his choices rather than running from them. Even Lou, in her anger, shows resilience by refusing to let her sister be hurt again. Resilience is not about being unbroken, it is about standing up after the break, carrying the cracks as part of the story. Just like the old barns of Heartland, patched and weathered but still standing. The family proves that resilience is what keeps them moving forward. Finally, the symbolism of doors and thresholds cannot be ignored. When Ty first appears, he stands at the edge of the driveway, hesitant to cross. Later, he lingers at the doorway of the house, not fully inside, but no longer outside. These thresholds symbolize his place in Amy's life, not rejected, but not yet welcomed completely. Amy's small step toward him in their reunion scene mirrors this theme. It is not a leap, but it is movement across a threshold. The house, the barn, the fields, they all become symbols of boundaries Ty must cross, one by one, if he hopes to truly come home in the end. The themes and symbols of this episode are what elevate it beyond a simple reunion story. They remind us that love is not perfect, family is not simple, and healing is not quick. But just like the ranch itself, where seasons change and life continues despite storms, there is always the possibility of renewal. The episode leaves us with the sense that the story of Ty and Amy is not finished, it is only entering a new chapter. One where every action, every word, and every symbol will shape whether their bond is rebuilt or lost forever.